Information is power, and we're bringing it to you with the BGA's nonpartisan podcast, Ready, Set, Gov, tackling the most important challenges in Illinois. Find it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Alternative Facts Chicago is back, episode 46. This is B.Hun with my homie B.Chan. We're back. How are you?
I'm good, B. How are you?
I'm great. So I thought I traveled a lot. You are never in Chicago. Where the hell are you right now?
I'm in Disney World.
And you found time to actually do an episode. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I am. Live on location in sunny. It is sunny in Florida right now, but maybe rain coming. Who knows? So yeah, I said, maybe I need some time off from the podcast, and B.Hun said, "You don't get time off." So here I am on my vacation, recording episode 46 because I had to. So
yeah, you had to. To have to find another co-host when I just had to find another co-host would have been a lot of work.
No, I said I wouldn't miss it for the world. Stop, right. Mickey. Stop everything that's happening. So you're in Detroit. I'm in Florida, but here we are.
Still recording, man. The people need to hear these episodes. So we don't take breaks. That's not a good idea. So no matter what, we'll always record.
That's right.
Let's plug our social media since we didn't at the beginning of last episode. So our Twitter is AFAC Chicago. Facebook and Instagram is Alternative Facts Chicago. Thank you to everyone on Facebook. Our likes are growing. Definitely keep those coming. Same with Instagram. The followers are growing. Please subscribe and leave a review on our iTunes as well. The reviews, ratings are going up. I think we're close to 200, so definitely want to get over that. So that's Alternative Facts Chicago as well. You can always email us show ideas, questions for our segment, Show B&B Your Business, and also sponsorship ideas to alternativefactschicago@gmail.com. And then my personal Twitter, once again, and Instagram is BHun1984. And what's yours, B?
Mine is Starbright312 on Twitter and Instagram.
You're still your kid name?
I'm still my kid name. I'm a young woman. I deserve a young woman's name.
Absolutely. Before we get into these topics, and of course our fan of the week for this week, let's hit them with some reminders of what we got coming up.
Yes, we have. I am so excited for this. Wing Out Chicago, which will take place in Old Town Saturday, June, not January, 2nd and 3rd. It is being put on by Green Curtain Events, and our friend Chris Harton invited us to be guest judges for them on Sunday, June 3rd. So we are excited to be out there on Sunday, June 3rd. Hope we get to meet a lot of our listeners, but we will be judging wings and lots of them because we have a little side bet going on, and it's getting heated. B.Hun thinks he can eat more wings than me, and I am here to prove him wrong. So we'll be eating lots of wings, judging them. They'll be delicious. Our listeners are able to use a promo code, which is ALT FACTS, FACTS 15 to receive $15 discount off of a ticket. All of our social media will have links to those tickets where you can find them. So our listeners can choose to do that for Saturday or Sunday. But we'll be out there having a great time. We have our new Alternative Facts Chicago tank tops that we will be wearing, which is the most exciting part of all.
Absolutely. I can't wait to rock it. I know you already got your glitter one, right?
That's right. I actually have it with me here in Florida, so.
There you go. I know mine's in the mail. I'll definitely be rocking it this weekend. I can't wait.
Yeah. So what are you up to this weekend?
Speaking of this weekend, so you did mention at the beginning of the episode, I am in Detroit right now. For those that are just listening to the show, I am from here originally, even though I am from Chicago. Love the D, love the city. Been here since last weekend. I will be here through Memorial Weekend. We are covering Movement Festival in Detroit. It's one of the biggest deep house techno fests. And they have some hip-hop, too, in all of the country. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'll be out there all 3 days. So if you see me in Alternative Facts Chicago tank top, make sure you come and say hello. I promise I'm nice. I won't bite. So come say what up. I'll be there all this weekend. They got a lot of big deep house, big techno acts. I know Diplo's there as well. Wu-Tang's there on Monday. I know you're pissed that you won't be there for Wu-Tang.
So mad. Mad.
But Alternative Facts Chicago will be representing, taking Chicago to Detroit this weekend. So if you're in Detroit, make sure you come out and support. And then briefly in regards to Wing Out Chicago, it's actually one of the best street festivals in the city. I have been in the past. Chris Harton's the homie. Make sure you come out and support. I mean, the summertime Chicago, street fests in Chicago are always big. Who doesn't like to eat wings? Who doesn't like to be out on Sunday Fun Day? or Saturday. Who doesn't like to drink as well, too? So make sure you come out and support. Once again, you can use our promo code ALTFACTS15. Please stop asking me for free tickets because we wouldn't be giving out the promo code just to give you free tickets. So once again, stop asking. Come and support Alternative Fact Chicago. And then lastly, we will have our T-shirts out. We have T-shirts, tank tops. Please stop asking me for a free T-shirt as well because what's the point? We want your support. So once they go out for sale, we will have them out for all of you to buy.
And on the wing thing I wanted to mention, but I got so excited about eating wings. With your ticket, you get to hear live awesome reggae music. A couple bands will be featured there, but you also with your ticket get unlimited wing samples. So you come out from 2 to 6 o'clock, you get to eat as many wings as you want. And your ticket also includes one complimentary beverage, a beer, a soft drink, whatever your choice is. So that's a very good value.
Can't wait. Definitely will be there for sure.
Me too.
Fan of the week time. So this one is my homie Justin Matthew. He's probably going to be really surprised that he's a fan of the week because he probably had no idea. So I'm glad that I get to spring this on him. So Justin, you are a fan of the week. He is on Twitter at JClifto. That's JCLIFTO. Justin's been, an avid listener of the show since the very beginning, since even you were on B. And, he always texts me, talks about the show, topics, and we talk about things off and on. He's an avid listener. He definitely supports the show. We definitely may have some sponsorship ideas with him in the future, too, as well. So definitely wanted to shout out Justin. Great dude. Huge Michigan fan in all sports. So if you're ever a Michigan fan or want to talk crap about Michigan, if you want to get someone riled up, just go at Justin, and he will have a debate with you about anything in Michigan sports, whether it's football, basketball. He'll even talk to you about hockey if you give him the chance. So once again, that's at JCLIFTO. Go harass him. Go at him on social media and tell him that Alternative Fact Chicago sent you. So once again, Justin, you are our fan of the week.
Shout out, Justin. Thank you for being a fan. I have a feeling you voted against me in the wing competition, but you are still my fan of the week.
He definitely did, actually. So people really think you're going to lose on this one.
Okay, let's stop for a second. It was really close. It wasn't until you were like pushing it that you barely edged me out, but it was really close.
As I mentioned on Twitter, black people and chicken go together like white on rice. So just remember, you may have no shot, my friend.
We will see.
Let's get into some topics.
Let's get into them because we have a couple today that we got to talk about. But first of all, you and I had a heck of a time Sunday night talking about the Billboard Music Awards. Am I right?
Man, I had a blast Sunday night. I'm not sure why, but it was awesome.
It was really awesome. It was kind of silly. I don't know the last time that I really watched that much of a music award show, let alone enjoyed it. For me, I think part of it was because the performances kind of overshadowed the awards altogether. That was awesome. What did you think about the show, B?
Well, I've seen a lot of award shows. For some reason, I just always get hooked on award shows, whether they suck or not, whether it's the Grammys, the VMAs, BET Awards, Movie Awards, it just doesn't really matter. And I would say this set of Billboard Awards is probably one of the better ones I've seen in quite some time. The performances were more upbeat. A lot of these award shows, a lot of times they have the performances are just boring. They're like singing ballads, playing piano, just really putting me to sleep. And on a Sunday night, that's the last thing I want to watch on my TV as I'm getting ready, for a new week. So the performances were solid. It seemed very women-centric. Did you notice that it was very women-heavy this episode?
It did, and I have like a rundown because when you're done here, I'm going to talk about all my favorite things. Yep. But I have a rundown, and a lot of them were women, and
it was almost like women overload. They had like Ariana Grande, they had Camila Cabello, they had Salt-N-Peppa, they had J.Lo, they had Jennifer Lopez. It was just like I was looking at all the performers. The only male performers are John Legend. They had Khalid. I think I'm missing someone. Maybe Ed Sheeran, I think, possibly might have performed. So
they had Khalid with Shawn Mendes and we'll talk about that when they did the thing with the students. But I don't even on my list of highlights. Oh, Mia Cabello with Pharrell, but again with her. So
it was very women focused. But overall, I would say Kelly Clarkson. She did actually an amazing job as host. The host of an award show will actually kill the show if they're not good. She was funny. She was down to earth. Her statement at the beginning of the award show talking about, the school shootings and we need to take action and stop doing moment of silence was on point. She sang well. She just seemed very down to earth, and I really wasn't a huge fan of Kelly Clarkson before then. Not that I really cared either way, but just after that, I seemed to be more of a fan of her. So I think she nailed it as a host. I'm sure they'll bring her back. I've always told people, and people doubted me before, that Camila Cabello was going to be the new GOAT of the industry, and she proved it. I mean, she's almost like the new Selena of the current time, so she's awesome as well. Jennifer Lopez, J.Lo, I don't know what's up with her, but she is aging like fine wine. She still looks like she's 21 years old. She looks gorgeous. So I would say shouts out to J.Lo. Kudos to her. Janet Jackson was cool. Looks like she probably needed to stretch a little bit before she went out there for her performance. But hey, she's in her 50s. She did the best as she could. So when I'm 50s, I still want to be able to dance like her. So give her props for actually getting out there and do that as well. I know you're
And she
going to
has a
like this, but
baby.
Salt-N-Peppa did a great job as well with their performance. They tore it down. And who the hell are these BTS kids? Like,
Oh,
I
goodness.
couldn't believe it. When they mentioned their name, the crowd went batshit crazy. Like anything I've ever seen, like even more than like Justin Bieber. Took me back to like the NSYNC Backstreet Boy days. They were going nuts, and I never heard any songs they did. And I was like, that song actually isn't that bad as bad as to admit. So I thought overall it was a great show from top to bottom. And for those that didn't see it, you missed out. But what's your thoughts, B?
Okay, so I'll start with the BTS because I actually forgot about them until you just said that. That B.Hun was texting me and he was like, this BTS song is kind of fire. And then immediately I was dying. Like, I can't tell anyone this. And he was like, don't ever tell anyone.
But then I think I went and tweeted right after, so I told him myself.
You just couldn't help yourself. I had never heard of them. I had no clue who they were. I didn't know if they were speaking English. I don't know, but the people like them. I mean, nothing will make you feel like out of touch, like something like that. But whatever, the people like them. And it wasn't just kids. I mean, some of the people looked grown. They love the BTS. That's fine. I didn't care. Of course, I love Demi Lovato and Christina Aguilera. They performed. That was total like the women power. And
Kind of didn't like that. I'm surprised you did, but it was okay.
Wait, you didn't like it?
That part I thought it was a little sleepy, but it was okay. It wasn't the best.
I just
of the
think
night,
they're
but
both
go
so
ahead.
powerful, and I mean, I think they both just have incredible voices. And I'm not even the hugest Christina Aguilera fan, but I just think they both are just so powerful. So I loved them teaming up together, kind of like different generation of powerful women singers. So I love that. Loved Pharrell and Camila Cabello. What was funny was I loved the Khalid and Normani song.
Oh yeah.
She's from Fifth Harmony too. So now you have the two of them coming, and I don't know if a lot of people realize she was from Fifth Harmony. They're like, who's this chick between her dancing and she's beautiful and she sings and it's everything. And so I wouldn't be shocked if that puts her a little bit on the map. That was great. J.Lo, of course, like you said. Salt-N-Peppa was my favorite. I was like waiting and I'm like, I know that they're going to make me wait till the end for this because I was tired and I was ready for bed. I was like, I know they're going to make me wait for them. And sure enough, they did, but they did not disappoint. It was just fantastic. And to me, it was like, there's artists that you remember that you always liked, and they would always be on my top, like of when you're like in, 13 or 14, but it's like to see them and not think that they've changed or have lost anything was awesome. And I don't know how you forgot to mention Macklemore and Kesha.
I thought you were gonna slip up and forget about it. I was ready to call you out for it.
Never, ever, ever my two boos, Macklemore and Kesha.
So for those that don't know, for those that don't really listen or just new fans of the show, for some random reason, B.Chan is obsessed with Macklemore and Kesha. Yes, that sounds weird, but she is. So I don't know why.
It is not an obsession at all. And actually, I want to say this because I was telling B.Hun this. I was not a big Macklemore fan until his latest album that came out, I don't know, maybe the end of last year called Gemini. I was like, on him. The album came out. I listened to it. I'm not even sure why I listened to it. I couldn't turn it off. I listened to that thing straight through. It is so good. If you haven't checked it out, B.Hun has not, so he can't harp on it. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's like 6 months old. I have multiple friends who are not Macklemore fans, so I'm like, just listen to this album. And they loved it. And Kesha too. I was never like the biggest Kesha fan. I could take her or leave it. But her new album called Rainbow is super personal. After everything she went through with the Dr. Luke thing, it was like she came out, she's able to make the music she wants to make. And I just think she just has a really... I'm not obsessed with them.
Alternative Facts Chicago
favorites, but them together is just awesome.
Alternative Fact Chicago's made a turn for the worse when we're over here promoting Kesha and Macklemore music.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist after we're talking about the awards. I will not mention them again until July 14th when I see them in Tinley Park. But because you won't hear their names out of my mouth again. They were good. Everything was good. The show was awesome.
What was a tweet that I tagged you in? It said, you never heard somebody say, you know what? You want one person I want to wake up and hear today is Macklemore. It's so funny. It's like no one has ever said that in the history of life. And I would probably agree with him except for you.
I would have said that too. And 6 months ago, I would have absolutely agreed. He had like one or two songs that I probably had like on my iPhone, like literally no whole albums, nothing. But I challenge you, someone, please listen to Gemini. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But then also the last thing I wanted to say about the awards, because we're not even talking about the awards, was B.Hun brought up a great point that I think a lot of people, including myself, were missing, that the Billboard Awards being about the top album sales versus the best artist or the best song. So I, like everyone else, kind of like rolled my eyes when Post Malone won top hip hop artist or whatever it was. And I was like, what the heck? And as he said, it's about
it was like top rap song or something like that. But the kicker was it said top rap song as opposed to best rap song. And
yes.
I know you were like, why didn't Kendrick win? Well, I was like, Kendrick already won like 7 awards. I think he's fine. But, for all the Billboard Awards, it's always about top sales, not opposed to best in any of it. So whoever the top sales for any category, that's who essentially won, unless it was like a fan vote contest or something like that.
And that makes sense. So we probably have bored everyone with Macklemore and Kesha and Billboard Awards.
Yep,
so maybe
I think
we should move
probably
on.
Lost some listeners, so I think we should move on.
Okay, let's get on with it.
But I will say overall, I thought it was a great award show, and many award shows do suck.
Okay.
Want to play some bills real quick?
I guess.
Shouts out to our homies at the Wrigley Report. Shout out to Jason. Jason's a good dude, so I don't think you met him yet, B, but you'll definitely get to meet him this summer. He's an awesome guy.
Can't wait to meet you, Jason.
Yes, sir. So, Cubs fans, if you are looking for the latest Wrigley renovations, updates, team news, player analysis, and overall Cub news, look no further than Wrigley Report, your number one source for all Chicago Cub news. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on their handle at Wrigley Report. Shouts out to the Chicago Cubs. They're starting to do good as well. And also shout out to Better Government Association, one of our sponsors. We will be introducing another sponsor once again, since of course we're the number one podcast in the city, so everyone wants to be on board with us.
That's right.
And I know you're going to love this. Switching gears, talking about some NFL. You couldn't wait to talk about this one.
I can't wait to talk about this.
Let's get into it. So I'll introduce it. It was a crazy day in the NFL. It's actually been a crazy 48 hours. They had the NFL owners meeting, so a lot of rules approvals and changes of things that they want to come up with. First of all, they're changing some of the rules with the NFL kickoff. So they tweaked it this past season, and now they're doing it again. So there's some quick highlights. So with the NFL, the changes they're making with the kickoff team must have 5 players on each side of the ball instead of loading up on one side. The biggest one I would say is the team cannot line up more than 1 yard behind the restraining line. So before, players could say, 4 to 5 yards back and get us a big head start and run down. Now they can't do that as well. For the receiving team, it sounds like if the ball gets down in the end zone or hits the end zone, it's automatically down. You not have to down it as well too. So there's a lot of changes, and while they're doing it, obviously, for all the head injuries, the concussions that are going on, trying to make the sport more, I guess, a little more safe than even it has been. But NFL football is a barbaric sport. It is. I don't know how much more safe you're going to make it as well too. So we'll discuss some ideas around that as well. Two, the biggest thing that they're doing is with the national anthem rules, which I think is crazy. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, B, as well. But essentially, they did make the rule that is 100% mandatory that if you are out on the field for the national anthem, you have to stand. Teams can actually make their own rules to where players can stay in the locker room for the national anthem and then come out after, but that's an individual rule. If you do come out and if you are caught kneeling for the national anthem out there on the field, the team, not the player, but the team itself will be fined, and that's a mandated rule. Roger Goodell made his comments today, and actually the crazy part about it, it was a unanimous decision from the NFL owners. Every single owner made this rule to approve it today. B, what is your thoughts on that?
Okay, so quickly on the kickoff, because that's less not emotional, but that's whatever. Quickly on the kickoff. I think it's silly. what the NFL is trying to do is basically eliminate kickoffs from the game, yet they don't have the guts, for lack of a better word, to say that that's what they're doing. So ultimately, they're trying. Last year, when they made the rules and they changed it to where the kickoff would start from, they're trying to make sure kickers are kicking it out of the end zone. There's not an opportunity to return it. And they're doing that in the name of player safety. Let's be honest. The NFL does not care about player safety. They care about their liability. So they got hit big with the lawsuit, paid a lot of money for not being concerned with player safety. And so now they're trying to CYA. That's my issue. If you don't want there to be kickoffs because you're concerned about the safety, then just come out and say we're no longer having kickoffs. Because in the meantime, what you're doing by changing all their rules is you're eliminating even more opportunities for kickoffs to change the game like they would have. So ultimately, teams are keeping players on their rosters for no reason.
Right.
So there's special teams players that are now on a team's roster that you're not really using them. And I was saying this to somebody on Twitter earlier today. Here's the thing about this. When you talk about special teams, that is a huge wild card in a lot of close games. You have a team that wins that special teams battle, and that may determine the game. Can you imagine the game of football if you never had a Devin Hester, a Dante Hall, a Billy Bates, who's a loved Cowboy, Steve Tasker? These are special teams players, specifically on kickoffs, who changed the game. And if this rule had been in place 15 years ago, these players probably never would have had NFL careers. So I feel like the NFL has to man up and either say we're eliminating kickoffs or let it be. I'm tired of them trying to water it down more and more and more in hopes that fans won't notice.
Yeah, I think it's just crazy with the NFL kickoff. That's just a part of the game. That's what players do, and I think these players know what they're getting themselves into. When you're playing in the NFL, it's a barbaric sport. Concussions may happen. They're okay with it. I mean, if you're going to want to make these changes and not have kickoffs, might as well not have football altogether. It's such a big part of the game, and I'm glad you made the point to say, players like Dante Hall, Devin Hester, I'm a Lions guy, Mel Gray, he was a kick return, punt return legend. I mean, it's just part of the game, and I think eliminating that aspect and trying to always have touchbacks or potentially even not have kickoffs at all, I mean, it's just severely affecting the game, and it's trying to make it like cupcake football. I mean, if you're going to have it, or if not, not. But to just always want to change the rules and try to make it easier or safer, it's not going to make it safer. Things are still going to happen. What about, when players on offense and defense, concussions are still going to happen. So what rule changes are you going to make there? So I think they're just doing a little too much. I really think it's silly that they're making all these changes. It's not going to affect much. And like you said, either change it all the way and just not have kickoffs at all, which you can't do because that's football, or just let it be. Like, these players know exactly what they're getting themselves into.
Absolutely. And I can't think of the guy's name right now, and I wish I could. There was a 49ers player last year, the year before, who played one season, and he said, you know what, I'm done. He said, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk for my health. And I'm really mad I can't think of his name right now. It's not worth the risk. And that's up to these players. No one's making them play football. So like you said, they know what they're getting into. So weak NFL. That is just weak. On to the national anthem debate. I know I've talked about it in the show before. I don't know if anyone has listened. Last year, the owner of my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, said on no certain terms his players had to stand for the national anthem. And from that moment on, I refused to give Jerry Jones $1 more of my money, because I do not feel like you should have forced patriotism in this country. I do not feel like you should take away someone's First Amendment right to stand up and speak for or not their beliefs. I believe that's their freedom in this country. I don't care that it's their workplace. I don't care that the NFL is a business. I don't like it, and I don't support it. So the only say I have is my dollar, and I have chosen not to spend that on any Dallas Cowboys merchandise, tickets, anything going forward.
Is this an announcement that you're making right now?
Oh, I thought I had mentioned it on the show before.
This a hot take? No, I never heard this before.
Yeah. I talked so much I didn't realize it wasn't on the show. This started October. I have not had. I went to a Cowboys game in November. We had already purchased tickets, so we went to that game. The tickets are already purchased. I will not go to another game in Texas. I will not buy another piece of Dallas Cowboys merchandise for myself or anyone else. I won't do it until Jerry Jones is dead. I won't.
Until he's dead?
Until he's dead. I'm not giving him my money. There's my team, players. I support, my cheer, but or as people, but as Americans, our only power is our dollar. And so that's the only thing I can speak with. That's my money. And so Jerry Jones doesn't care that he's not getting mine, but that's the only power I have to stand up against the stance he took. So I am disgusted that the NFL would take a similar stance. The faux patriotism, to act like they actually care about the national anthem. Let me tell you something. If the NFL cares about the national anthem, I want them to stop accepting money from the Department of Defense to play that national anthem and to honor service members like they have been for years. If they care, they should be doing these things out of the goodness of their heart, not taking tax dollars to do it. The other issue that I have with it is that it has not even been reviewed by the NFLPA to find out if it's within collective bargaining. So they put this into place without even consulting the players union on it. So
well, they can countershoot that or fight that, I'm sure.
Well, later. And they said they would. The NFLPA came out and said that they hadn't been consulted. They're going to review it. And if any aspect goes against collective bargaining, that they'll go ahead and fight it. And that's fine. But it's just ridiculous to come out and do this. And then to throw the little thing in there to say, well, if the team allows and the player chooses to stay in the locker room, that is ridiculous. Now what you're doing is dividing teams, dividing players, saying if you're not patriotic, it's just ridiculous. And my issue, and I've said this before, and I was saying this to Dee from Dee and Davis just a couple minutes ago on Twitter, my issue is, you know what, that idiot who wants to protest the NFL and wants to talk trash about Colin Kaepernick is in line buying a Miller Lite when the national anthem is playing. So I don't care if you want to act like players have to stand, unless every idiot in that stadium is standing at their seat with their hand over their heart and their hats off their head. I don't want anybody to say anything about it. Now, apparently, Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, came out very recently this afternoon and said the 49ers would stop concession sales during the national anthem. This is funny. Getting out of hand. This is getting out of hand because I'd like to know if every person who's watching at home is standing at attention to honor the flag. I mean, it is insane. And for the record, I have, and anyone who knows me I have prior to recent events considered myself a very patriotic person. My father is a veteran. I have a tattoo of the American flag on my body. Okay. I love this country, yet this is out of control. You cannot force people to be patriotic.
So if you've ever listened to the show, you want to get B.Chan riled up, let's just talk about the NFL. I swear, anytime we talk about the NFL, a rant just starts out of nowhere. And you look up 5 minutes later, and she's like all red and hot in the face. I guarantee if I was with her face is probably on fire. I promise you.
You baited me. You knew this is what was going to happen.
So apparently come fall time, we might just have to skip NFL talk all season or it's going to get crazy.
I'll try to control myself. I'm sorry. This makes me mad.
It's insane. Honestly, it's just, Donald Trump laying the rules down. They've had some private door meetings. And the biggest thing around it is the fact that all the owners, it's unanimous decision. Deep down, every single NFL owner is not okay with this. But the fact that it's a unanimous decision and not one single person said no, something's going on behind the scenes to where this had to be a mandated thing from, Goodell on down to where they all said, yes, we have to do this. So I will say Jets CEO and chairman Christopher Johnson, he stood with the players in the statement and said they're going to have a meeting here soon with, head coach Todd Bowles, and they're going to discuss a decision regarding the national anthem. So he's going to support his players, if they need to. And he's not going to make a mandated rule that they have to stay out there. But obviously, if a player wants to stay in the locker room, that's going to be something that's discussed. Because obviously, this is a free speech. This is a free country. You shouldn't be forcing people to do things one way or another. And that's just all the billionaire owners puffing up their chests and saying, here, this is what we need to do, mainly because our president, or not my president, your president, whoever's president, Donald Trump said this is what it needs to be. So this is just high-level decisions being made down. I love that you brought up the point about the NFLPA not being consulted about this. They need to fight this. And at first I was going to say, well, hey, maybe Colin Kaepernick can get back in the NFL now since they made this rule. But what's going to happen now is if he's in the locker room and then comes running out after, that's going to be a debate and that's going to be a story. So honestly, I really don't think that this is even solving anything. Do you think this solves anything? I honestly think it makes the problem worse.
It makes it worse because ultimately I think you could have said, fine, we have an off season. People get over their fake outrage and move on with it. But instead, we've just continued to push this issue, and it's ridiculous to me. It is all it is. The fact that you couldn't leave well enough alone to say if a player wants to kneel, let them kneel. You know what? Nobody was spitting on a flag. No one was standing on a flag. No one was desecrating a flag. If a player wants to kneel, let them kneel. If they want to stand, let them stand. And if the NFL and the media would have ignored it, all of the fake outrage would have gone away, and the silent protests or whatever Colin and Eric Reed started and then carried on could have gone on about it. But instead, we've made this an issue that is just insane.
Correct. And they're forgetting the biggest reason of why the kneeling took place. A is for free speech, and basically was to draw attention to social injustices like racial inequality in the country. It has nothing to do with the country or the actual flag itself. So I think through all this and forcing people to stand, people are still missing the bigger picture and the biggest message going on. And basically they're just trying to eliminate the problem by saying, here, this is the problem, but we're going to ignore it and go talk about the problem in the locker room and then come out after and play the football game. That's essentially what they're trying to do. They're trying to mask it as opposed to dealing with the issue. So I know this will be a lot more to discuss. We'll talk about this a lot soon, but this is hot off the NFL, and it definitely puts the NFL in a bad light. I think they're trash for doing this right now. I don't think this is a good move at all.
I hope I didn't lose my NFL talking privileges on this show.
Well, you get riled up about the NFL. It's crazy.
Yeah, this one makes me mad.
Passion,
I get riled up about this. Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, well, enough about those national issues. Let's move on to some things going on in Chicago.
I love our city. What's going on in it?
Okay, so in this segment of Everything Chicago, we are going to start off by talking about a report that came out. Basically, in 2013, Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, closed a historic level of 50 schools. Most schools closed at one time in the United States, and he said that it was going to offer a brighter future for Chicago public school students. A report recently came out by the University of Chicago that said that didn't happen. Basically, when we closed the 50 schools, the average performance of our students suffered. No shock, right?
Shocking.
Specifically in math, no shock. And now they've come out and said, initially when they closed the 50 schools, and as we've kind of discussed, I know on the show before and overall conversations, you're talking about not only hurting kids academically, but you're talking about safety in terms of kids having to cross gang lines to go to other schools, lots of issues with it. But by doing that, they said that they would save $43 million annually. Well, now the report coming out saying that there's been such a huge hit to their performance and academics that basically they're willing to spend, or they're saying it's going to take $180 million to mitigate the damage that was caused by doing this. They initially said they would save $43 million a year by closing these schools. So it makes you wonder, what the heck are they thinking to save $43 million a year to do this, to put all of these kids and these teachers through this, and now say that they have to invest $180 million to fix it, is just really disappointing.
You knew this was going to be a problem when they decided to close all these schools, and the problem is, so say you close some of these schools, the schools you're consolidating, is that school the best school for someone to be going to? Two, and I'm glad you mentioned this, all the gang violence going on in the city and students having to cross enemy lines. A lot of these kids don't want to go to these schools. When they're going to these schools, they may not be paying attention. They may not be focused. Things may be going on in terms of issues with the school or with the neighborhood. Just a lot of factors involved to where their focus may not necessarily be on the school, on the books itself. These teachers may not necessarily even be into actually teaching these kids, so they don't know these kids. They're getting dumped with extra kids, so the teacher-to-kid ratio may be off as well. So there's a lot of issues that have come up with this over the years to where it's essentially a broken situation, and it didn't help anything. And with all the debt going on in the city of Chicago to now have to spend all this money to try to fix it, is it going to help anything at all? It's just going to make the problems worse. Now we have to spend more money to fix it, more tax dollars for us to fix it, which is going to take more money out of our pocket. So all around, I think it's just a bad situation, and it didn't help at all.
It didn't. And we like to talk about the good things going on in the city because the city's awesome. But once in a while, we have some news. It's kind of important. So we have to highlight things, even if it's not always the best news.
Absolutely. I mean, and the kids in the schools are important. I think it's, and I think us talking about these things will, present change. And I'm glad at least that they're spending money to try to fix it. If it's actually going to work or not, I'm not sure. But I think it's important that, we as citizens of Chicago and suburbs of Chicago always talk about these things to help create change for the city, because our kids are important. They're our future generation. So we support them in whatever need be. So I think it's actually always important that we talk about these things.
Me too. What else you got?
This story is insane. And my homie Mike G, what up, Mike? He's actually
What
been
up,
on
Mike?
Alternative Fact Chicago a couple of times as a guest too. So we'll definitely have him back on. He is a Chicago native through and through, and love the guy. Love his opinions on Chicago things or hip hop music as well too. So regardless, he sent me this story. I wanted to bring it up to people's attention because honestly, I had absolutely no idea about it. So there's this a few inmates, I guess, with the city of Chicago and the Cook County court system. I guess there's several inmates that has been spending years behind bars, like without ever being tried. So for one, there was a case, I'm sure it was all the news, about this guy named Alex Daniel, who's 57 years old. He's never been convicted of murder charges, but has been waiting 10.5 years to go on trial. And then this past week, there was another guy. He's 29 years old. His name is Joseph White. He was booked on an attempted murder charge after being identified in a lineup 7 years ago when he was 22. He's 29 years old and is still waiting for the case to go to court for trial. And he said the state keeps pushing and continuing the case because they're looking for evidence and witnesses. And with that being said, obviously he's had court-appointed attorneys, couldn't afford an attorney. He's just been sitting in the Cook County jail for 7 years. And now that it's come out, they're saying there's a plea deal to say if he spends 90 days in prison, he'll get out for time served. And you got to remember, when you house someone, an inmate, it costs them $50,000 a year. So we've been paying tax money or $50,000 a year for this guy to sit in jail with no trial for 7 years. City of Chicago, what the hell? What does this mean, and why does this happen? Did you even know this existed?
I didn't know this was going on. And I think that's the point right there, that until things like this happen and we find out that it's going on, we don't know. We need awareness of things like this. This is above all else unconstitutional. Every United States citizen has the right to a speedy trial. So this is unconstitutional for these people to be sitting in jail without their time before a jury of their peers. And I didn't know this was going on. And obviously, if these are two cases that you're talking about, how many more are they? And how many more are there? And until things are brought up and people become aware and speak out and find out ways to help things like this, there's probably tons more, and it's probably going to continue going on. So I'd be interested to know what kinds of things are out there. I know that there's a lot of people, a lot of good attorneys who do a lot of pro bono work to help cases like this, but this is out of control.
Yeah, the problem is, obviously, if they're not, getting really paid for this, since they are a court-appointed attorney, it's not really their case. They're not getting paid, by the person that they're defending. They really don't care. I mean, the city's paying them, but that's normal money. You make your extra money as an attorney when, a defendant is actually paying you a certain amount of money for you to defend them. So when you can't afford one, you're just going to sit there
Right.
until a judge actually sees you. So I've seen this cases many times to where even if if you get caught for many traffic tickets or just anything to where you have to fight a case, I know a couple people that actually have had to sit, for a couple weeks at a time before even seeing a judge is for a minimum of, just your initial hearing, like your arraignment. Sometimes you may have to sit in there for a week. So city of Chicago, in terms of like our government and our county system, they just have a lot of holes. And that's why, unfortunately, we are on the #1 most corrupted list for things like this. So I think it's important, for the city that we actually talk about things, keep bringing them in light, and some change will happen. But come on, city, in this specific aspect, you guys got to get it together.
Got to get it together. And again, for our listeners, we say this all the time. Local elections will be coming up. Midterm elections coming up. Find out who is running in your local elections. Those are the things that affect you every single day. Who's your state's attorney? Who's your district attorney? Find out those things. Yes, the president matters. Yes, your Congress people matter. But on a local level, those things matter even more. So make sure you find out things about that so that we can make changes. Voting is the easiest way for us.
Absolutely. Let's get into some good news about the city. What positive
Some good
things are going
news,
on?
B. I like to eat chicken wings and other things. And the famous The Smith from New York is coming to the River North neighborhood in Chicago. People are excited about it. Have you heard about it? Are you going to check it out?
I've heard about it. I've actually never been to it in New York. And the funny part is, I was trying to think, New York's probably the main big city I've never actually been to. But and I'm kind of a loser for never being there. But I will say I have heard of the Smith. It's always like a good, I guess, happy hour destination, and I'm liking that a lot of these places outside of the city are coming to Chicago. River North's a dope area of downtown, so I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure it'll be busy, but I'm glad all these locations, I mean, different other types of places are coming to the city because, I mean, hey, who wouldn't want to be in Chicago? It's a big market here, tons of restaurants. I just love the fact that there's a lot of authentic restaurants in Chicago. It's not the McDonald's and Burger Kings of the world everywhere and Fridays of the world. These are authentic places, so I'm glad they're going to be in Chicago. What about you?
Yeah, I would be excited to check it out. I like new things. I have not obviously ever been there, so I would be excited to check it out also. So we'll have to watch and see how they come along with that.
Absolutely. And finally, for Chicago, this is some good news. Chicago Bulls fans, even though we are on the rebound, we are, fixing our team. We got a young team, but some great news to build for the future as well is Chicago Bulls rookie Lauri Markannen was named to the NBA All-Rookie team, which is an amazing feat because there's some great players who've had great seasons on there, like Ben Simmons. Donovan Mitchell was also named to it as well. Kyle Kuzma from the Lakers. And I know I'm forgetting one more person. I can't remember who it is right now off the top of my head, but all solid players, and I'm glad that Lauri Markannen was on the list too. So I think the Bulls will be okay. We're still a couple years away. We have another top 10 pick coming up this year as well. So I'm great to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy. The guy can ball. So shouts out Lauri Markannen. He did make the All NBA rookie team for all Chicago fans who did not know.
How about that? Way to go, Lori. That's awesome. That's an awesome way to end the segment. But now let's get to our quick hits, B.
Oh, let's do it. And this
Okay.
first one, man, and I made a post about this on my Twitter. I'm still getting notifications about it. And just the conversation and the dialogue around it has been absolutely crazy. So if for those of you who are not aware and have been living under a rock for the past few days, so Kendrick Lamar had a concert, I think it was in like Gulf Shores, Alabama. He decided during his song Mad City, and I guess what happened, I guess there was this white girl, I don't remember her name. You may know, do you know her name right now off the top of your head?
I thought her name was Delaney, which
Delaney or
is a
something
pretty
like that. I think
typical
she's
white girl
17
name.
years
Yeah.
old. She was begging to get on stage to sing that song. So, of course, Kendrick Lamar decided to oblige and let her up there. I'm not going to say the word since this is a PG rated show, but they say the N word a lot of times during the Mad City song. And of
And
course,
apparently, can I interrupt you real quick, B?
yeah, go for it.
Apparently, I think this is something that commonly happens at his concert, that he lets a fan come up to do the song with him. So it wasn't like just this one time, whatever. Like, I think this is something that happens at Kendrick shows. So go on.
Absolutely. So anyway, she decided to go up there and she decided to haul off on the N word not once but multiple times. Is saying this at a Kendrick Lamar concert or any concert, is this fair or foul, B?
Oh, it's foul. It's foul. I think everyone knows that. I hope everyone knows that. I do understand that things in Alabama are probably a little different than in Chicago. I don't want to make any generalizations about Alabama, but I'm gonna. So I don't know how aware, honestly, or how ignorant they are as a whole. But it is absolutely foul. I think every person knows that. I am a white person. I listen to music that says the N word. I don't say the N word when I'm singing. I don't say it when I'm talking to anyone. I don't ever say it. And I think white people know that. They certainly should, is what I guess what I'm trying to say is they should. So she was absolutely out of bounds to say it. I don't care whose show you're at. I don't care how many times it's said in the song. I mean, there's no excuse, none at all. What did puzzle me? So that issue done, she was totally wrong. What puzzled me was, I'm curious what he was thinking.
Yeah,
If he expected her to know better, if he expected her that she was going to come up to this part of the song that word is used very frequently, and if he thought, oh, I trust this chick that just won't say it, or if he expected her to say it, or and I don't want to put any thoughts in his mind. He seems like a really wonderful person, so maybe he didn't think twice about it and he thought, here's my fan and that's that. Great. I'm just curious what he was thinking, but she was wrong. No excuse.
yeah, I think Kendrick gave her the okey doke, but almost setting her up for the alley oop to drown herself, and that's exactly what she did. Obviously, this girl should have known not to say it. Kendrick Lamar should have known when you have this song up there, you put a white girl up there on the stage. She's 17 years old. She's feeling herself. She's got the lights are bright. She's got the microphone in her hand. What the hell do you think she was going to do? And boy, did she set herself up for failure, and boy, did she fail. I had a cool conversation with my homie Woody Wood. What up, Woody?
What
and
up, Woody?
on Facebook Messenger, and he was trying to say that artists need to stop using that word in songs, which I can't agree with. Or what do they expect to happen? It's just a word itself, so like the connotation doesn't mean anything negative. I get that, but I do have to disagree with you, Woody. A white person, no matter what, just should not say that word. There's just no place for it. Period. In the story. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. I think Kendrick Lamar made a mistake by even having her up there for that song because you should have known what was gonna happen. Even though the girl should have known not to do it, she just should not have done it herself. But Kendrick Lamar also set her up for failure by putting her up there on that song. One person did say maybe he did that on purpose to bring a light to a social issue to see what she might have done and she failed. So maybe that could have been the case. But either way, I think both are in the wrong for that situation. He shouldn't have had her up there and she shouldn't have said it. It was an all around bad situation.
Interesting. I know this is quick hit, so I don't want to drag it out, but I'm gonna real fast. I just want to bring this up, and I know I mentioned it to you before as we talked about your girl J.Lo. This has been on my mind for some time. J.Lo, who obviously is Puerto Rican, one of my favorite
Oh
songs,
God,
her
you
and
going
Ja
into this?
Rule. I just have to ask because I think this is interesting. She says the word and I'm real. And me and my girlfriends were talking a couple weeks ago. Today, that would have been a problem if that song came out today. That song came out like 15 or 20 years ago. But today, do you think J-Lo could come out in a song saying the N-word?
Yeah, but other nationalities say it. I mean, obviously, like, I know Mexicans that say it. I know other Puerto Ricans that say it too.
I know.
So it's a kind
Okay.
of a
I'm just saying,
double-edged or two-edged sword. But
I feel like she would have caught heat is all I'm saying. I'm not saying anyone has an excuse. I just feel like today she would have caught heat for it. But we'll move on.
probably,
Quick hits.
but I
Okay.
think
Quick hits.
when you're not of white descent, I think it's a little more acceptable. One way or another,
It's a
that's
gray
another
area.
debate, but I think it's more
Okay.
acceptable than other. It's saying if you're white and saying it, it's just a no-no.
Okay, Delaney, I wish you hadn't said it. I hope you learned your lesson. Everybody else learned your lesson as well. Kendrick, you
Absolutely.
can have me on stage. I will not say it. I will pass the test. Moving on. There have been a lot of blowouts in the NBA playoffs. What do you think, B?
Well, outside of last night, Golden State Houston finally actually had a great game, and Houston came back and won. We actually have a series. But the NBA playoffs overall, and I've tweeted about it a lot, I've told my friends about it a lot. I almost are going to ready to forfeit the season because these games have just been terrible to watch. Like, just in terms of every game, just a blowout from the tip off. Like, even though teams may come back in the fourth quarter, get it within 6 points, these games have never really been in question to where I don't know what these teams, the players have with pride for themselves. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is the NBA playoffs. Like, do you not care? Are you ready for the summer? Is the season too long? I don't understand like what's going on, but there've been a lot of blowouts. Maybe it's just leading me to think there's just not as much parity as we have in the NBA. Like it's very top heavy, and the best teams are just better than everyone else. But even the best teams, it's just like you're already playing for home games and not road games, and on the road you get blown out. Like Boston Celtics, they're in the conference finals, and I believe are like 1-6 or 1-9 on the road in the playoffs. That's terrible. Like you can't be an NBA championship winning one road game. Like you're not going to win the title. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm not a fan of it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not either. I think you hit the nail on the head with the parity. I think that's the issue. The NFL worked a really long time to have parity in their league. And I think it's obvious with this playoffs in the NBA why they wanted that because it keeps people interested. It keeps people excited. And I think right now that you're seeing that there's much less excitement over it. So, yeah, that's how I feel.
The Obamas, Michelle and Barack, signed a huge Netflix production deal to create shows and content. Will this help Netflix, and are you excited about it?
I don't really care about it. I don't think it will help them. And lately I have seen recently people who want to boycott Netflix over it, which is insane. If it's good content, if it's something I'm interested, I will watch it. I think that the Obamas are wonderful people. And so, but to me, their name, having their name on something doesn't make me more likely to watch it. It doesn't make me more likely to subscribe to Netflix. I don't care. But if they put out something quality, I'll be interested. And I think that they do have a level of integrity with them that their name on it means you might trust it a little bit, but it doesn't mean I really care to watch it. What do you think?
I just love that the Obamas are getting in their bag. They're actually doing other things. Like they're not like past presidents who go live on a ranch miles away and you never hear from them again. They live their sole lives. They're actually doing things and actually trying to make some money, actually presenting opportunities for themselves. So for that specific reason, I think it's an amazing idea. Will I watch their content? It depends on what it is, just like you said. But I think overall, I think it's actually silly that people are trying to say I'm going to boycott. I'm going to get rid of my Netflix, subscription for because they have a deal with them. How about this? How about you just not watch their programming? What the hell are you going to get rid of your Netflix subscription for? That's absolutely silly. So I'm all for it. Shouts out to the Obamas. Keep getting your money.
Get it, Obama. Okay, B, I know this makes you
Oh
really
my God.
excited.
So
This
excited
this
about
is
this.
all
I've been talking
this
about
is
this.
all you, Bill. The WWE signs a reported $1 billion deal with Fox. They are moving their Smackdown to free TV. Is this a good move?
Absolutely. So, for those that don't know, WWE SmackDown's on Tuesday nights on USA. WWE Raw's on Monday night on USA. This is a big deal. They're actually going to switch networks for one show and not the other, because a big deal in terms of cross promotion. When you're on Raw, you won't be able to promote SmackDown and vice versa. Because why? Because obviously there are different brands and different television shows on different stations. Two, $1 billion for a television show is insane. That means they're going to make over $200 million a year for one television show. It's going to be on Friday nights, which won't be much competition with anything because, let's be honest, there's nothing on TV on a Friday night. They may go to 3 hours, which Raw is also 3 hours. And then lastly, having wrestling on free television just opened up so much exposure to people to watch it overall. I know you're going to say, listen, B.Hun, everyone has cable in 2018. Yeah, they may, but just that more exposure to being on Fox, that's so much more money, so much more exposure. The ratings are going to go through the roof. And that's probably going to get back to the days when, like, late 90s, early 2000s, when everyone watched wrestling before it kind of fell off again. Now it came back now. It's probably going to get back to that point because it's going to be easily accessible. I think this is an amazing idea. And, of course, I'm hype about it.
I'm excited for you. That's about the extent of my knowledge about wrestling.
Absolutely.
But I do know you've introduced me a world of a lot of people who really love it. And as you know, I love anyone who loves something, whatever
exactly.
it is.
You know, shouts out to the Mons, the D and Davis show. They're all about it too.
They're all about it too. And like I said, if you're passionate about something, I love that. Whether I understand it or not, I don't know, but I love that you love it. So
hey, Vince McMahon, they're winning. Stocks are rising. WWE business is booming for wrestling. People always clowning like, oh, it's just wrestling. Hey, someone watch it. They're getting $1 billion deals. Someone's watching it. It's
That's
awesome.
right. Good for you.
Let's go. The Las Vegas Knights. I know we talked about them a lot. They're still playing. This is an amazing story. They made the Stanley Cup Finals. Are you rooting for them to win the whole thing?
I am. You promised me a trip to Vegas to celebrate if they
did?
do. So you did.
I don't remember that. Was I drunk that episode or what?
Yeah, you probably were. You said we were going to go celebrate with them. Yeah, I'm rooting for them. I'm excited. As we've discussed, expansion teams don't typically have a lot of success right away, so I think it's an exciting thing. The first pro sports team in Las Vegas, so I think that's exciting. The locals there. I know it's a lot of transplants, but the locals have waited a long time for their own team. So good for you, Las Vegas Knights. I'll cheer for you.
I think it's amazing. I hope they win it. I mean, this will be the very first expansion team, and I think almost any major pro sports to win a championship their very first season. Someone was saying, like, would this be bad for the NHL if they win it because it shows that these other teams, like, it's too much period that an expansion team can win their first year. I disagree. I think this is amazing. I didn't really watch much of the playoffs in previous because the Red Wings haven't been that good. The Blackhawks are starting to fall off, so it's actually giving me a reason to actually care. It's giving the common person a reason to actually care. The Vegas fans are all into it. I think this is awesome. It would be amazing if they won. Even if they don't, the fact that they got it, I think it's a great story. So I hope you all watch the Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, we're promoting hockey, but I think it's a great story.
Awesome. That is it for Quick Hits. Let's move on to your favorite part of the show, our clowns of the week. Do you want to go first or would you like me?
Oh my God. Mine is great. So I think I want to do mine first.
Okay.
So I think people have heard of this story. And I've always thought about those days to when I was thinking back when I was in high school, I did well, all that, got to play college sports as well. I was like, what if, when you're 25 years old, just think if the 25-year-old you got to go back and play as a 17-year-old in high school and just dominate these kids. Well, a 25-year-old Texas man actually got the bright idea to do it, and he actually did it. So, Sidney Gilstrap-Portley, why he has 4 names, I have no idea. We'll figure that out later. But you, my friend, are the clown of the week. You got to research the story if you have not heard about it. So this past week, he was arrested on government fraud charges as well for essentially being 25 years old. He already graduated from high school. He had the bright idea to bamboozle everyone. He tampered with government records as he went back and enrolled in a Dallas, Texas high school. Why? So he could essentially play high school basketball again. He basically made up this lie and said that with the Houston, hurricane and everything that had happened, that his house and family was destroyed, he had to relocate to Dallas. I don't know why anyone in the school system didn't research this, but essentially he decided to play high school basketball. Another big problem, he decided to date a 14-year-old girl, which is even more gross in itself. So probably going to go on the sex offenders list from this, and damn right he should. But this kid decided to play basketball, and boy, he killed it. Like, he averaged over 25 points, over 14 boards a game, had many games scoring over 30 points. He even played the number one team in the country, and he lit him up for over 40 points in the game. So this guy was balling. He was crossing up high school kids, dunking on high school kids, making like all area teams. And the weird part about it, he didn't get recruited a lot for it, but now we know why. But he essentially led that team to stardom and was a star player. So he had the idea that I'm going to be that high school guy to go back and just destroy people, and that's exactly what he did. But he got busted because his old high school coach or old high school teacher actually saw him in a game and realized, hey, this kid was in my high school 7 years ago, so everything unraveled, and he got busted. So great execution, poor idea, because you knew damn well it wasn't going to work. So, Sydney, I'm sorry. This is an amazing story because I've always thought, who the hell would try that? Well, he did, and he got busted. Research the story, but you are the clown of the week.
Sydney, you're a clown.
That's a great story, though.
That is a great story. That's why you probably should have gone second. Mine isn't quite as funny.
Well, you decided to change yours like 4 times, so it better be funny after this.
Well, I didn't decide to change it. You tried to tell me what mine should be. So just because you try to make me pick one doesn't mean I have to. So I picked my own clown of the week. And actually, the first one that I picked for myself was when we were talking about the NFL. And then that story got so out of hand that I said, no, that was its own issue. My clown of the week is the Publix grocery store in Charleston, South Carolina. I think it was Charleston. The Publix grocery store in South Carolina, when a woman went to purchase her high school son's graduation cake, she wanted a special message on there because he had done such a great job in high school. He was given the honor of being the summa cum laude, which is graduating with high distinction. And so she wanted her cake to read for her son, "Congrats, Jacob, summa cum laude, class of 2018. Well, when Publix grocery store got the request for her cake, they thought the cum, C-U-M, in her description was a dirty word that she was choosing to put on the cake. So when she picked up her cake from the grocery store to bring to her son's graduation party, instead it said, "Congrats, Jacob, sum," and then instead of the word, it was dash, 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 class of 2018. So shame on you, Publix. You are the clown of the week for censoring a cake that didn't need to be censored and not understanding what she was trying to say.
And Publix subs are amazing. They're fire, too, so I'm sad you had to do this.
I'm sorry, but isn't that kind of funny?
That's
great.
Kind
of funny.
Have you ever had a Publix sub before?
I have not. I don't think I've even maybe ever been to a Publix grocery store.
You're in Florida. You got to find one and go. Like, their subs are amazing. And then for those our Florida fans, they know.
I'll check out the Publix subs. Well, Publix in South Carolina needs to get with it with their cake making.
My honorable mention, Connolly, I got to mention this briefly before we go, goes to American Idol. Screw you for wasting my time with the entire season. Gabby Barrett should have been by far and away your American Idol. She was the best one on there. And you decided to pick a couple that were that admitted at the end of the season that they were together to pick one of them two. And then you had Gabby finish third. So you were honorable mention, Connolly, because she was by far, she's your next Carrie Underwood. You needed to help the show with the reboot by having a great winner. And you failed. So sucks for you. You wasted my time. So honorable mention, Connolly goes to American Idol. And I'm mad I wasted my entire season on that.
B.Hun has been talking about this girl, Gabby, so much. I have I'm like, did you really say that or was I dreaming? Because I had a dream you were talking about this Gabby Barrett.
Hey, remember the name when she goes like double platinum in a couple years. She's one of the biggest artists in the world. Remember Gabby Barrett? You remember I said it. I should be an A&R. I have an ear for picking good talent in music. I don't know why, but I do. You're laughing at me?
I am. I'm sorry you're so worked up. We'll let you calm down now. So I'm not allowed to talk football. You can't talk Gabby Barrett. We got it.
Great episode, B. I know it's a little bit shorter, fans, but obviously
I don't think it was
Disney's
short.
Gonna ride all the rides and rock out Disney, so we're gonna let her go do that. I'm here in Detroit too as well, so we figured we would keep it a little shorter for the episode, but always good to talk to you, B.
Good to talk to you too.
And all our fans, make sure you follow us on all our social media. We're not going to repeat it. Remember, we are on Wild Dogs Radio. That's www.wilddogsradio.com every Thursday, I think, at 7 o'clock. Is that is? I always forget the time. Is it 7?
It is 7 o'clock Eastern.
6 o'clock Central, and then we're also a 24/7 live culture as well. They host our show on their platform. We're actually going to have our show on other website and platforms too that we'll be announcing soon. So we're growing. We got our t-shirts coming, our websites in the works. We're the #1 podcast in the city. We just got a lot going on. It's a great time to be a fan of the show.
It's a great time to be on the show as well. We appreciate you all. We love it. Please keep sending us feedback. Please keep talking to us on social media. Send us ideas for Show B&B Your Business. We got some things in the works. We are so excited.
Absolutely. So we'll have one more episode before Wing Out Chicago, correct?
Perfect. Next week.
Absolutely. So we're out of here. I know you got to get going, and I'm going to get the hell up out of here too. So this is B.Hun with B.Chan. This is episode 46, Alternative Fact Chicago, and we are out.
Peace.
Peace.